Hey guys, I'm really excited about today's interview because we've got Clay Lawrence who's joining to talk about his progress from going from zero clients to now running a very successful agency, SaaS company. And, there's tons of marketing agencies out there, but he's really broken the seal in terms of growth and how quickly he can do it. And he has a lot of really cool systems and ideas in place that he used to do that. But I think also one of the things that has made him so successful is that, as you'll see, he's a very genuine, nice guy. And I think that that's what small business owners want, right? They want to work with a marketing agency that they can trust and they enjoy talking with. And as you'll see in this interview, that is Clay. So, Clay, thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, no, super excited to be on and hopefully share something valuable.
Amazing. So, for those of you guys that don't know Clay, Clay has a YouTube channel where he talks all things marketing agency, like how to get more clients and how to keep them happy. How to get more reviews is really his specialty. And so, if you're not familiar with his channel, we'll put the link in the notes and you can watch all of his great videos. But I think to start, for those of you who don't know Clay yet, it would be really cool if you could maybe share maybe the couple months leading up to before you even deciding to launch your agency and what was going on in your mind. And then what was like the first step that you took?
Yeah, for sure. Well, when I was in high school, I was not interested in school. I was always kind of like a decent student and I got good grades and all that sort of stuff, but I knew that I didn't want to just, go the corporate route eventually. And so I was like in the back of the room watching YouTube videos all through high school and all through college on like how to make money online. And so I did, all the different things that people try, drop shipping, affiliate marketing, Amazon FBA, whatever, Instagram theme pages, whatever it was, I probably tried it. And then I, kind of got into the digital marketing space. And the thing that I really loved about digital marketing when I was getting started was the first client I ever had, I said I'll do it for free, and it was awful. I hated it. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. But one thing that I realized after doing that was like all the other businesses I had started, I don't think I had probably done them right or anything. I didn't really learn any skills. With the digital marketing space and starting your own agency or whatever it is, I feel like if you still pursue it, even if you don't find the most success possible, like you'll be able to develop a lot of very valuable marketing skills on how to rank a business on Google, how to get them more reviews, how to run ads. All those things are things that every single, mom and pop business in your area needs help with. And so I was kind of like doing it, trying it. I was like, didn't know I was gonna go all in on it. I was like, it's kind of cool how I did learn something. And so then all throughout college and whatever, I just tried to sit down with as many business owners as possible and say, hey, what do you need help with? And they would be like, I need a website. And I would go back and I would watch YouTube videos on how to make a website. And I did that for, honestly, two years or so until I was like, oh, wow. And looked up and I was like, oh, now I've got 20 clients or so doing a lot of different things, but I was making some money. And I was learning, really valuable skills in the process, kind of the intro into the marketing agency.
Oh, very cool. Okay. So your first go to market approach was let me just go knock on some doors and go meet business owners. Is that right?
Yeah, no, and I went to the University of Florida in Gainesville, and I literally just messaged probably, you know, 400 or 500 different business owners in Gainesville. I was like, hey, can I just buy your coffee and just talk? I'm a local. One thing, if anybody is young and in school or whatever here, you can use that to your advantage. Definitely leverage the fact that, hey, I was like, hey, I'm a student at University of Florida. I'm studying marketing. I want to learn more about local businesses and how marketing works for them and maybe start my own thing. And I'm just trying it out. And so many people were like, oh, I went to the University of Florida. I would love to talk to you, and we just sit down and I'd buy their coffee, or normally they'd buy my coffee because they were like, oh, look at this little student. And then I'd just ask them about their business and what problems they had. And then I would try to figure out how to solve them and sell it to them.
That's amazing. Yeah. And that goes with, the theme of just being genuine. I think a lot of agency owners, they kind of like devise a sneaky plan to get clients, which, while it might be clever and you might get your emails open, you're starting the sale from a place of like a little distrust, which is like impossible to overcome. And so I think that's great being like, hey, just how can I solve your problem? Because, you're a business owner, problems pop out every 30 minutes that you've got to solve. And if someone knocks on your door and says, hey, I think I can solve some problems for you, you might just listen.
No, 100%. And it's just it was like you said, it was a very genuine, easy conversation for me to have as somebody that didn't have much experience, or didn't have much proof. I was just like, I can try and figure it out for you.
That's cool. And then, so you got your first 20 clients, and then I'm guessing the sales approach had to shift, right? Because you can't really scale that kind of outreach now that you have clients that you also need to work on. And so, what did you do to go from 20 clients to, maybe the next bucket to like 100?
Yeah, for sure. My biggest mistake, which I don't think was a mistake 'cause I learned a lot, but what I realized when I was making about 15 to $16,000 a month, about a year after college, was I was working with probably 10 different types of businesses. I was doing, five or six different things for all of them, and it would be impossible for me to scale this because I couldn't expect anybody to, I couldn't afford to pay anybody to be an expert at ads and SEO and websites and reviews or whatever it is. Talk to my wife a lot, and my wife's like, well, they all love that review thing you do for them, and you help them with get more reviews. And so I was like, you're right. And that's, very simple process. It's an easy setup, and it's pretty much automated after you set it up one time. And so we were like, all right, let's, rebrand to Review Harvest, kind of go all in on that. And how I got my next, 30 to 40, 50 customers from there was running super simple local ads. And so I had a little bit of proof with local businesses in the area that I had gotten them reviews. And these were local businesses in the area that a lot of people knew about, which I think was helpful. And so I literally grabbed my phone. I said, hey, my name's Clay. I helped this business go from X to Y reviews, and that business go from X to Y reviews as well. I want to do the same thing for your business for free. And that was pretty much like fill out the form down below. Don't even have to worry about, working with us until we do it. And it was just a free trial. Hey, I'll set you up on a 14-day or 30-day free trial. I forget what it was. And I called out the business owners in my area. Hey, I'm in like the 30A area. So, hey, 30A business owners, and all those businesses that I mentioned, people knew. And holy moly, that was like the biggest time. That was like the first time in my business I experienced like crazy growth. I went from like 20 to about, I don't know, probably 60 customers in 2 months. And my calendar was just booked. And I was booking these calls on these local ads were so cheap. I was getting quality leads for like $5 or $6. And so it was wild.
Wow. I haven't heard of that. It's really interesting. Starting with like some flagship businesses in your city and then basically just pointing them out and using their brand recognition and proving I'm local. I know your area.
Yeah,
Wow, that's really cool. I haven't heard of any other agency owners doing that, but it's a really interesting strategy.
for
Okay,
sure.
so then you made these local ads. I'm guessing you ran these on Facebook and Instagram mostly. Cool. Okay, and then uh, and then at some point you probably outgrew that approach as well.
Yeah.
So then, what came next as you continue to scale? Because right now you're on a very unconventional growth. Uh,
Yeah, for sure. The thing was is that I live in an area with about 15,000 year-round residents. We're a heavily tourist area. And so when I say that, people are always like, my area is too small, my area is too small. And they live in a place with like 100,000 people. I'm like, no. I was able to run those ads successfully for 2 or 3 months and get, 40 or 50 customers. I could have gotten a lot more customers too, but I actually had like a non-compete with two of those biggest businesses, which I probably those businesses were great and they gave me my first opportunity. So it is what it is. But so like you said, they recognize those businesses and they're like, I know this business is crushing it with XYZ. I want whatever they have. And so that was easy. But from there, I had to make the transition to running national ads. Part of me was like thinking if I can't make the national ads work, because that was a really hard transition. When you're running ads locally, it's like, hey, our kids go to the same school. I don't have kids, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, you know fellow people, you have connections. You go to the same church. You can meet face to face. Like it's really easy to establish trust that way. Because I think there is like an idea in the business owner's mind, like they can come find you. If you do something wrong to them, they'll come find you. And so when I transitioned to national, it's like they don't trust you, they don't show up to the calls, they don't like you. And so I almost was just like, I'm just going to go become run local ads in other areas. But finally, I was kind of able to figure out we have to send these messages to establish proof, get them to show up, get them to want to show up by providing something valuable. Normally, that was just like a Google Business Profile audit or something like that. And from there, we were kind of able to crack that and get to our, we went from 60 to about 150 or 200 customers in the next 8 or 9 months. And that was when the referrals really started to roll in and kind of that word of mouth ball took over where we didn't have to work as hard on the ad side to generate every single, new customer.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, we see two different growth trajectories with the agencies that are using Page. One is they started very local. They went knocking door to door, like actually just finding like a strip mall and just Hey, I'm John. Like, can I help you with your marketing? And that gets them their initial base where then they start to get referrals from them. And then now they have some money so they can then pay for ads or a sales rep or more sales reps. And then the other version is, okay, let's just start cold calling everybody. And like those seem to be the two successful paths that someone can take.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And so like, what advice would you give to someone? Because I think most people that are starting agencies today, at least the ones that we see, there's someone that was maybe in corporate America or working for someone else for a long time. And then they're like, you know what? I want to start my own business. I want to do a marketing agency. How do I get my first client? Like that is the question that we get asked every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah, I think it's being absolutely shameless. I remember like when the business was getting hard and I was getting doubtful, I pulled up the contacts app on my phone and I just started scrolling through contacts and texting people because these are all people that in theory should already know, like, and trust you. And it was literally just like, I think Alex Rosie posted a video about it, but it was like, send this message where it's like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you know anybody who'd be interested? Don't solicit them. Ask if they know anybody. And even if they're a business owner, if they're interested, they'll say, hey, yeah, let's figure this out. I want to hear more. But use that warm audience that you already have, whether it be on Instagram or Facebook or your contacts in your phone, to get your first customer, and just be shameless about it. Like, I think that it is a dangerous spot for. That's one thing that I had going for me. I was young. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of other options because I was like, I'm doing this thing. But I can imagine if you're coming from a corporate background, and you already have some money, or maybe already have a full-time job and you're trying to build this on the side, it's a little bit probably weirder to text, your friends and family and all these people, hey, I'm doing this thing. But for me, I was like, I'm young, I'm just trying to figure
Yeah.
it out, and I had that going for me. So definitely utilize your warm audience.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And also not to get lazy and just like, if you can put it on LinkedIn, because if you're working for someone else or whatever, if you have the opportunity to put on LinkedIn, you should probably do your method instead of actually texting people because your friends are going to want to support you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, I know we've posted things for merchant on LinkedIn, and I've posted personal things on my own LinkedIn, and it's so hit or miss on if LinkedIn is going to actually show your content in front of your best friends, like the
yeah,
people that are most likely to help you. So yeah, I love that you didn't take the shortcut there and be like, all right, I'll just publish it online and
yeah. Let's see if
hope
somebody.
someone responds.
Yeah, yeah, no way.
So you mentioned that you were kind of, and what you did is what we see all the time. They start with like every service under the sun. Oh, you need a website? Perfect. Oh, you want someone to take a video and put it on TikTok for you every 2 weeks? I can
Got
do
it.
that. Like you just got to pay your bills.
100%.
So you went from chaos to pay your bills to a little bit more structured and streamlined. And you went with reviews because that was a thing that, business owners just love. Everyone wants to see a 5-star review. So that became kind of like your foot in the door, like what like your agency is all about. Would you still suggest that agencies start with reviews as a foot in the door, or like what other strategies have you seen work?
Yeah, I think that it's actually something that we're going to test now. We've only marketed our front end offer as reviews for so long. And I think that has provided a lot of clarity in the marketplace. Not that like everybody knows who Review Harvest is, but the people that do, it's really easy to transfer the fact like, what does Review Harvest do? Oh, well, they help you get more reviews, right? That's really simple. I think that helps with word of mouth. And it helps just like overcoming that information gap of like, what does this business even do? But we are going to test this year, we're going to test marketing kind of a ranking offer as the front end. And then maybe if they're not interested in that, we can't sell them on a higher ticket something, we can downsell them into our reviews. Like, well, at the very least, we just need to get you some reviews, and then downsell them on a free trial. And so we're going to test that. I think the thing with reviews that you'll find is like there are a lot of business owners who know that reviews are important, but it can be really hit or miss as to whether you have to make that connection of reviews to revenue. Like our best clients, our best sales calls, our best leads are the ones that hop on and they're like, I know how important reviews are. I just need help getting more. When we have to make that connection for them, which isn't all the time nowadays, but we used to have to do it a lot more when we didn't have as many customers, and I guess less people knew about us. It can be a little bit of a harder sale to be like, hey, I promise this is going to return revenue. It's like, it's not going to be directly correlated. Like you're not going to get a review and get $10 in your bank account, but it will happen. Most of the higher quality business owners realize that nowadays. And so I think reviews is still a great foot in the door offer just because it is one of those things that it just works. Like if you text and email all their previous customers and do a review reactivation, like we call it, they're going to get reviews. And then that's the magic where it's like, I've never worked with another marketing company or software company that did what they said they were going to do, right? And then all of a sudden they trust you. It's just a crazy experience to see like all you did was just say you're gonna get them reviews, and now they're like, what else do you do? And so since it is so rare for people to get good results with marketing companies or whatever, unfortunately, or a lot of them have been burned, it's kind of the magic.
Yeah. I like to explain to business owners that like it can be uncomfortable saying, "Hey, do you mind leaving me a review on Google?" But you need to look at it that every review is probably going to get you your next customer. So if your customer, like let's say you're a fencing business and each job is $5,000, like would you ask this slightly uncomfortable question for $5,000? The answer is probably yes.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's what we exist, and I think what we try to explain to these business owners is that we know you have more than 27 happy customers, right? But on Google, you only have 27 5-star reviews, and you get told all day by your customers how amazing you did. Because if you ask a business owner, do you provide a good service, and do your customers love you? They're going to say yes. 99 times out of 100, they're like, oh yeah, we do amazing work. And so you're like, yeah, they're telling you that. But when they tell you that you did amazing work, that's it. That's the end of the connection. That's the end of the interaction. Nobody else is going to see that or hear that. When they publish it on Google, hundreds or thousands of more people are going to see it, and they're going to be more likely to work with you because of it. And so it really is, when they understand the value of reviews, it's a pretty easy sale.
Yeah, and I think one of the funny things is that agencies need to convince their clients how important reviews are just for the success of their campaigns and their contracts together. But agencies sometimes struggle to get their own reviews to prove their own validation
Yep.
to their market. So like have you worked with many agencies to help them get reviews? Like at what part of the process do you suggest they ask? How should they ask?
Yeah, for sure. So this was something that I had a little bit of look in the mirror for us, because I think we had like 200 customers, and I was like, oh, we've got like 30 reviews, because it's like the cobbler, the guy that makes the shoes, he's got crappy shoes and his kids got crappy shoes because he's too worried about making shoes for everybody else. And I was like, oh shoot, we need to like practice what we preach and do it. And so I think we have like 250 or 260 reviews right now. What we find is that we try to request a review kind of right after that time to value, like wow moment. So maybe after the first 5 or 10 reviews, find whatever that like first value point is for your customer, whether it's their first lead, whether it's their first report where they saw improvement on their ranking grid, whatever it is. Try and find that wow moment, and then request the review. Then we still work with a lot of business owners who are like, oh, I don't want to request a review yet, like especially the recurring business owners like agencies and stuff like that. They're like, well, let's just give it 3 months before we request a review. Are you more excited about your new car the day you buy it, or 90 days later? By the time it's 90 days later, it's just a car. Like, it's not your new fun car anymore. It's just a car. And so requesting that review quickly is the best time I would say to.
Yeah, yeah, I really like that. I really like that analogy. That's definitely helpful. So I think one of the similar like topics when it comes to asking for uncomfortable questions to your clients as an agency, there's the review and then there's also the referral. But the referrals are, they're gold. It's the best way to grow an agency if you can get them. Like, have you had great experience, talking to your customers and asking them who else they might know?
Yeah, for sure. I'd probably say that over the last couple years, I think we have about 650 or 700 active businesses set up with Review Harvest. Over the last couple years, we've been about 60% ads and probably about 30% referrals, and then 10% just miscellaneous random stuff. And the referrals has been one of those things where I've really wanted like an awesome automated system just to get referrals. Like, oh, you just automate this, you do this automation, send this text, send this email, bada bing, you're good. And we're kind of, we just did an offer, like they get $100 gift card, and whoever signs up gets $100 gift card as well. And that seemed to help. We definitely have some traction there. But the best way we've found to get referrals is to turn all the customer interactions into a referral point. And so even on a sales call, ask for a referral at the end. Hey, honestly, you probably know other business owners who need some reviews as well. We're about to get you crazy results. Anybody else you want to do this with? And we'd sometimes throw in incentives like, hey, we have an affiliate program or stuff like that. But most of the time they don't care too much about that. You normally don't even have to ask. But on the sales calls, I would say sometimes they're a little hesitant after like the onboarding call, after like their first, interaction with us, where maybe they had a support request because something was broken or something was messed up, and we solved it quickly, and we're on the phone with him or whatever it is, asking for a referral. Then all the human touch points we could turn into referrals has been really valuable. That's kind of been the best like manual way to do it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so it sounds like you really like you have procedures or processes or systems in place to make sure that you're, helping your own agency as you're helping your clients' businesses, which I think is really good. And I mean, I think maybe it's worth shifting gears a little bit to like the importance of processes and building automations to like support your growth because, we all start our business or most of us start our business bootstrap side hustles. Like that's how I started merchant. And you can't always hire people. And luckily we're in the age of AI where you can automate anything now. But I think one thing that I do want to say before we like jump into the importance of like getting systems in place is before you have revenue, don't let like perfection get in the way of actually picking up the phone because picking up the phone, knocking on doors, those are the hardest things to do. And like I think it's just human nature to want to procrastinate and do anything else besides those things. And so
Gosh,
like
yeah.
I
Yes.
always yeah, like I'll see it all the time where an agency owner is launching and they're telling me about all their like bottom of the like their onboarding processes and SOPs. And I'm like, you just have to pick up the phone.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. I made a video on this. I think I called it the agency trap or whatever it is. I think there's so much YouTube videos out there that we can watch YouTube videos and feel productive, but we're not actually being productive. We can spend 2 weeks on our website and it's a beautiful website, whatever, and feel productive, but we're not actually growing the business. Between Review Harvest and between the YouTube channel last month, we did in January, I think we did a little over $84,000 in revenue. If you would have told me that our business was still this messy and I was making $84,000, like the revenue was $84,000 a month, I'd be like, no way. I just thought it was going to be clean and systematized and optimized. And I read all the books, the E-Myth Revisited and all this stuff. And then you're like, oh, it's going to be a well-oiled machine. It's not even close to that. And it's just like the kind of imperfect action that beats the inaction every single day of the week. And it's like in my community all the time, like if you're under $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, like you don't need a good logo. Like you just take 10 minutes to make a website on AI just so people can look you up. But like don't spend any time on that. Like all your time should be promotion, just making sure people know you exist. Like that's it.
Yeah, totally. And you just reminded me. I was just talking to like an old friend of mine who's worked for some of the largest global tech companies and SaaS companies, ones that like you would think have all their processes in order. And he was just telling me that it takes 4 months to get a quote out to a customer when they ask to sign up. And this is like a top three largest software company in the world. Yeah, don't tinker with the processes too long. That would be one of my better pieces of advice. And so going on to automation, when you were mentioning like the different interaction points that you have with your customers and when you might ask them for referrals, this past weekend I was tinkering around with Clawbot or Moltbot or OpenClaw or whatever it's going to end up being called by the time this is published. And just like the amount of things that you can automate now are amazing. So much to where like I'm trying to figure it out because obviously you've built software, how to automate pain points. That's our whole game too, right? We automate things for agencies. And so like I'm figuring out like, okay, what are the things we can solve? And my first thought was like, agencies have been messing around with Zapier and Make and N8N for a while. So like we've kind of already done a lot of these things. But I think I think the addition of cron jobs in like Claude or OpenClaw, whatever, makes it interesting to where, to your point, you could have in your database, have I asked this person for a referral yet?
Yeah.
And then before like each meeting, maybe you have a Claude bot go out and look to see has this person like it can check the calendar for that day and be like, here are your 9 calls today.
Mhm.
These 3 people haven't referred anybody,
Yeah.
right? And just kind of be that like, or you haven't asked these 6 to leave you a review yet, or they haven't left a review. And like you can really start to maybe like build an open agent that is just focusing on the growth things for your business, the advice you're giving your
Yeah. Yeah.
clients, but like don't
Yeah.
have the time to do yourself.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think like I have what do they call it? AI guilt or AI shame or whatever it is, where it's like I know I should be using it more. Like one of the most simple things that I have tinkered with for like a couple hours and then I get distracted and move to something else. It's just like I want to get all of our call recordings, all of our transcripts, all that stuff into a place where we can easily access it for a client, right? So it's like when we have a question about a certain client for whatever reason, we can go in and just like ask an agent, hey, look at this customer's calls. Did we talk about this on the call? Because the amount of time that me or my wife or somebody on my team spends like scrubbing through a Zoom recording to find like, did we say this actually that they're saying or did we not? is ridiculous. And so that should be becoming, an AI agent, something that we need to do. But yeah, it's like you said, if you're a beginner though, like just raw action, pick up the phone. Don't worry about the AI automation until you've actually done it. I mean, when I got started, I think I had like my probably four or five review clients after we kind of made the transition. And I was like, I'm going to automate this onboarding process. I got this. I'm going to build out this form and I'm going to build this and it's going to be all automated in Zapier. And this is kind of before AI was huge, but like, it's just going to be so seamless or whatever. Like, I didn't even know what our onboarding process was. Like, I didn't even know what to automate because I'd only done it 3 times. And so it makes so much sense to like go do the process manually, figure out where it is, and then come back after you've got revenue and clients and stuff and work on the automations.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. You like can't automate things until you 100 understand how it works in the real world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think we've had a lot of success because, before we launched Page, we had a managed service where we had a team that was doing all this stuff and it was difficult. So, we figured out how do we automate this? Whereas I've seen a lot of other tools come out where they didn't have that experience and it's just like not it just doesn't really like hit the spot that an agency really needs. Lucky for me, but I want to learn more about the different automations that you've put in place because again, most of us started as a bootstrap and AI is a great way to get leverage. Like what's like a high, automation place that you have in your agency now that you have a lot going on?
Yeah, I think the best move that I made in 2025 for Review Harvest, one of the best, was adding on basically a content system that only takes me about 2 to 3 hours a week, and it does a lot of things for us. So basically, what we do is after we get a customer, we are listening to see when they get their first 50 reviews. And so after we generated their first 50 reviews, they get added into a sequence where we text and email them asking them to be on our podcast. And so our podcast is posted on YouTube, all the podcast platforms, all that sort of stuff. And these local business owners, same people that probably most of the agencies listen to this work with, are stoked to be on a podcast. Like they are so excited. I was telling Justin off air, like people hop onto these podcasts, like on Riverside or whatever we're doing on, like suit and tie, like tell me about how their kids told them that they're going to be famous. They're so excited to watch the YouTube video when it comes out. Like they are so excited to be there. And so that creates an awesome customer experience for us to want like deepen our relationship with the customer, learn more about them. They also get like, which this might not be very valuable to a lot of people. Some people, maybe it is valuable. And then as you grow, it'll become more valuable. But for now, they get FaceTime with like the founder. And since I'm not on all the sales and onboarding calls now, this might be some of the first experiences they've had with me, but they might have watched a lot of our videos and a lot of our, ads and a lot of our short form stuff. They get FaceTime with the founder. What we do on these podcasts, I basically just ask the same questions over and over again. We learn more about their business. I kind of like throw them some softballs so they can just like knock them out of the park for their business. Like, what are some things you do to go above and beyond for clients? How do you set yourself apart from the competition in your area? Tell us a crazy story about when you went above and beyond or whatever it is. And what that does is it gets really clip-worthy content that we can go share with them and they can post on their social medias with the Review Harvest branding on it. And so we get additional exposure that way. Obviously, we cut up these podcasts into short form content as well and distribute them across social media. We also get our best customer testimonials and our best ads. So I kind of the end of the podcast, I transition into reviews. We talk about marketing a little bit, and I transition it into reviews. And like, what's your experience been like with Review Harvest? Our top performing ads to date have come from that podcast, like asking those questions and seeing their reactions and kind of what it's been like to work with us. And so we get ads from it, customer testimonials, and then at the end, they are primed and ready to ask for a referral or to upsell, right? And so if you have an upsell, it's a great time to do it because they're really excited. If you just want to ask for a referral, it's a great time to do it as well because they've already seen how well it works. And then also we post, the long form content, and that helps get reach and establish trust in the marketplace, so that people can see just a plethora of all the results we've helped people get. And so honestly, I was telling somebody the other day, even if we didn't post the videos on YouTube or like post the podcast and stuff, I would probably still do it because it is so valuable for like me to spend 20 to 30 minutes on that call and get that customer interaction. I mean, get all the other things that come from it, that we'd probably do it anyways. And so and then like, oh, we got to edit it. Well, Riverside does most of the editing for you. Like we probably could just download the automated editing stuff that Riverside does and post it. And it also gets clips and stuff automatically. But I just submit it to editors. We have editors that cut it up and distribute it. And if you don't know how to hire a video editor, just go to onlinejobs.ph, put in a video editing role, and you'll get 200 applicants in like 3 days. And so you can sort through, give them all test projects, pay them 50 or $100 for a test project, and you'll see quickly who's a good editor and who's not, and then bring them on. And it's pretty simple and doesn't take me a lot of time, and it's done wonders for our business.
That's amazing. And so you've automated much of the processes of the outreach, maybe the question preparing and then the videos you outsource the editing, even though AI could do it. Yeah, that's really cool. And you're making me think that, you know, we spend a lot of money on creators, but for probably less money than that, you're getting a closer relationship with your customer, great understanding of your customer's needs, which helps you build a better offering. You're building genuine content that performs well, like better than paid creatives. And it takes only a little bit of your time. And yeah, like, I mean, that seems like a no brainer, especially if you're used to paying UGC creators that are, way more than the cost of a video editor and 30 minutes of your time.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that what's the well, I don't know what famous business guru guy said that all business problems can be solved just by talking to your customers. And so it's like I also get the opportunity to speak to people that I haven't spoken to, and ask them about their experience, hear where the blind spots are in our onboarding process, because they're like, well, I didn't know y'all post these reviews on social media. Like I didn't know that. And like, so here, what do we need to go back and fix? Because these people don't understand this, or there's a blind spot here, or they weren't served here. And so we're able to talk. And I think also just as the founder, it's so important to hear the language that they speak in, to hear the words, hear the verbiage, like get them to explain your product to you,
Hmm.
right? And then you have the headlines, then you have the hooks. Now you have all the verbiage that actually resonates with your customers, and not just something that your brain and your ChatGPT made up. Because I'm not a plumber, I'm not an HVAC company, I'm not a pressure washer, and so hearing them re-explain our business back to us gives me all the verbiage and all the language that I need to go put into our ads.
Wow. That's super cool. You're also making me feel bad that I've been doing this for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now and haven't done these with our customers because it sounds like they're awesome. And just, I bet it's also just very rewarding talking to your customers, right?
For
Getting
sure.
to know the people that trust you every day to, help their business.
For sure, for sure. If everything burned down yesterday or today, and I had to start another business, I would just start this business and plug it into other. I would just start a business helping other businesses plug this into their systems, because it's been such a high ROI, and and yeah, it's something I enjoy doing.
On the before we wrap up the topic around automation, I was just thinking because we build some tools and we have a lot of agencies that will ask us about how to get clients. And my advice is always pick up the phone. Pick up the
Yeah,
phone, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. Nothing's going to beat that unless you're willing to go door to door to get your initial clients. And I was thinking through Claude open and one thing that a lot of people want to do, which is to not have to pick up the phone and instead email. And so I was trying to think through a cool automation you could build with it to get more clients through email, which I know you could do this all using like N8N and Clay and Instantly to a degree already, but I'll tell you why I think that you can do something really cool here to get more clients. The idea is that you create a recurring agent that every day at 8 a.m. it picks a random city and you can kind of guide it on the industries that you care about. And then say, I want you to reach out to 25 or I want you to use the Google APIs, find 25 businesses in this city that you picked in this industry. Make sure that you haven't done this one already. Then go out to their website and read their website and learn how they're marketing themselves. See if there are any typos, if their logo is outdated, and then see how many Google reviews they have. And then write them an email that basically explains what you found on it as like a free, marketing analysis. And hey, if you found this helpful, let me know if you want to learn more about your marketing.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then have it only notify you if somebody bit and was like, oh yeah, I'm interested in a call.
yeah.
And And then basically you would sit back and every day at 8 a.m. or whatever time you set it to, it's going to stay within a reasonable time. Of course, you could say do this for 20,000 people a day, but you'll quickly get your email flagged to spam.
Yeah.
You could also tell it if I get fewer than like a 5% reply rate or a 2% reply rate, let me know if that happens 3 days in a row so you know that your email's burned basically.
Yeah.
And then you have this SDR that's doing this incredibly detailed outreach to local businesses, and then you're only getting notified when there's a lead that comes knocking on your door. Um, and the reason that kind of came to mind is because a long time ago, there was, I think it was a locksmith or a plumber who was on the phone with an appointment setter that I had because I used an appointment setter very early on to get leads. And he was just very rude to me, like extremely rude, not trusting, not I only have 30 seconds, give me your pitch. And I was like, this guy is like, I'm not gonna crack this nut in 30 seconds. So I just started off with I go to his website really fast to understand his business. And I realized that at the very top, it was a plumbing business. At the very top, it said like John's Pumping instead of John's Plumbing. And I was like, hey, I mean, I instead of the pitch, I just want to let you know you have a typo on your website. You're saying Sean, and he's like, what? He's like, I have a marketing agency. They're like, how
Yeah.
did they miss this? Blah blah. And then
Yeah.
he signed up.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh. That's
and
crazy.
so like yeah, and I have an amazing team, and whenever we put a website live, I'll send the link, or whenever we're about to, I'll send the link to my team and be like, hey, does anyone see any errors or mistakes on this new landing page? And sometimes they'll find some things. Most of the time, they're like, nope, nothing. And then I started running those websites through like ChatGPT and be like, are there any typos or grammatical errors on this website? And it'll spot like 20 that we all missed. I missed it after reading it
Yeah.
20 times.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's so good, like at that type of stuff to find the errors. Like I did that the other day, and I was like, so I just sent it to King, somebody that works on our team. I was like, hey, can you go look through this website and find any errors? He did it so quick, and I was like, dang, that was really fast. He was like, yeah, I just put in ChatGPT. I was like, oh, of course, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, no, and I think if you're somebody who doesn't want to cold call, I remember I was always like, I'm gonna cold call, I'm gonna cold call, I'm gonna cold call, and then I was like, I just would never do it. I would just procrastinate, not do it. And I remember one day I sat down, I was like, all right, I'm cold calling, period. And so I made like 200 calls, booked like two meetings, and then neither one of them showed up. And I was like, obviously it's because I wasn't good at cold calling. Obviously, cold calling works, but I was like, I don't enjoy this. There's probably another way to do this. And so one outreach method that I'm super bullish on is Facebook messaging. So just using Facebook Messenger. If I had zero customers today, what I would do is I would go and I would join a whole bunch of Facebook groups that are specific to an industry. They're specific to a software, where a lot of different industries you can work with use that software. And like one thing that I'll do, and I made a video about this where I locked myself in my truck until I got a paying customer. And all I did was I sent, I think, 18 or 19 Facebook messages, and I closed somebody and got them paying Zoom call and everything. I got them set up literally within like 2.5 hours. Because what's so crazy is that you cold call, you can get a gatekeeper. You cold call and they're busy, whatever it is. But there's so many business owners that have like direct access to Facebook Messenger on their phone, like a text, like it comes through like a text and it notifies them. And so I was making another video about this where I was like sending a message as a demo while I was recording, and the guy starts responding while I'm recording the video. And so many of these business owners in those groups have access to Messenger on their phone, get notified, and respond quickly. And so what I do, I think the best way to do this is if you go join a software that, say all plumbers or HVAC companies use or whatever, just go and say, hey, are you still using the software? And message them like a friend, or message them like you're a fellow business owner, and just get them to respond, because that's the part that I find the hardest when people go do cold outreach, just getting that first response. And so I don't mind spending a little extra time kind of transitioning the conversation to your pitch, because one, they're a lot more likely to respond. They're a lot more likely to respond and book a call and stuff if you can get them started. Like if you just get them talking to you. And then also another nice side effect of this is it doesn't burn your messenger, it doesn't burn your email, it doesn't burn anything like that, because you're actually creating real conversations, right? So I'm creating real conversations with people that I add, and you should go and add a bunch of people in the group, and you should add the owner. And I normally would give the owner of the group and the top contributors like our service for free or next to free. Just say, hey, if I can just engage in this group, that'd be great. But then they post about you, anything that comes up about you, because those top contributors and the leader of the group use you. Now everybody else just follows the leaders, right? And so I kind of found like a 2,400 person group where we got there was a time where we probably got 50 or 60 people signing up through there without a call, without a sales call, onboarding themselves sometimes, just because so many other people in that group used us and were raving about us when people ask questions about reviews.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it goes along what you do. And I think why you're being so successful is because you just do things, right? Like
Yeah,
you're like, I have this idea, let's do it.
do it.
And yeah, just another thing for those of you guys that haven't watched Clay's videos yet, I watched one of his recently where he was climbing up a tree until he reached his goal. I'm glad he didn't get struck by lightning.
Yes,
I
right.
was I was I was very worried we are gonna book a new guest.
That's right. That's right. Podcast canceled.
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat. I learned a lot, so I have to go talk to my team now about some of your great ideas. Where do you want people to find you if they want to learn more about what you do?
Yeah, I think the best place to connect with me is just YouTube. Just look up Clay Lawrence and you'll find my channel. I've got two YouTube channels. There's Clay from Review Harvest. That's one where you can go see the podcast that I'm talking about with our customers. It has like 1,000 subscribers or something. And then my main channel is just Clay Lawrence. I think it's got 10,000 subscribers or something. So yeah, find me
Cool.
there.
Definitely subscribe. They're a lot of fun to watch. Well, thanks again, Clay, and we'll talk soon. See ya.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.